What's going on YouTube? I am LuboATM and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Been a while since I've been able to do a shrine video because of the event in the last couple of weeks where they've been doing a new one every day. Um, yeah, I thought about doing it throughout the day of the event, but like because I'm on like EU time, by the time I would have actually like got up after the reset and stuff like that, there'd only maybe been like, and got the video recorded and edited and stuff like that, there'd only maybe been like 12 hours left, and I was like, there's no point in me putting up a daily video for like you guys to get like 12 hours of use out of it, so I thought I'd just leave it. I think I explained that in another video back on the channel, but we're back. We're back to the weekly shrine, um, and yeah, after all the wonderful, great shrines we got throughout the entire event, we seem to return to business as normal. I don't know if it's because my hay fever's really bad or the shrines the last couple of weeks have been so good. But wow, what a shrine to return to the weekly format and for Dead by Daylight. So let's, without any further ado, let's jump in and get chatting about these perks and what they do, and if they're worth your hard-earned shards. So first perk we've got is Ace in the Hole. So when retrieving an item from the chest, there's a 100% chance a very rare or lower add-on will be attached to it. 10% chance of finding an add-on of uncommon rarity of lower. Obviously, those variables change depending on what tier you're at, but basically, if you raid a chest, you get add-ons to the items that you usually get. So this is an add-on that combos, or this is a perk that combos well with like Plunderer's Instinct, combos well with Appraisal. Um, Sometimes you'll see people run that if they've got like open chest challenges or something like that. Um, I mean, it's okay. It fits the purpose, but like I don't know anyone who usually runs this just as a one off. You know what I mean? I don't know who, if you want to bring something in with good add-ons, you usually just bring it into the trial. I don't know why you would kind of come in with nothing and let kind of RNG take control. Like, so you could end up with like a toolbox with like 2 Sabo add-ons. You know what I mean? Like it seems very kind of strange. Again, it can work in a few Mimi builds, and it can work in kind of that context that if you're not wanting to use up the stuff you've got in your inventory, it means you can pick up some more useful items during the trial. Um, so it kind of is what it is. It's unfortunate that like cause it kind of it doesn't need to combo with anything, but it works better when it does. So it takes up a couple of perk slots, which you could really be using for your staples like your adrenalines or your dead hards or whatever it is that you run. So it's good for a kind of, it's a mess around and a meme, I would say, more than anything. I wouldn't, or for doing challenges and getting use out of the stuff, so you're not just going out your way to do like an open chest challenge. You're opening the chest and then getting some value out of it. So I mean that's good for that aspect, but on the whole, not the best. The next one is a UA teachable, which is Breakout. So when you're within X amount of meters of a survivor who's being carried, you gain the haste stats effect, and the carried survivor wiggle speed is increased by X%. So basically, when someone's being carried, you run alongside them. Their wiggle speed is considerably increased, and you have an increased speed so you can keep up with the killer. This is, again, it's a good perk to have some fun with, or to have a, like, if you're doing like a kind of a meme around build for like maybe protection hits or stuff like that. Like it works well with other things. So if you're doing it for taking protection hits, you can combo it with We're Gonna Live Forever, so you can get your tokens and your extra blood points. I just try to think. Like, honestly, I don't, especially now with perks like Starstruck and stuff coming out, and the amount of times you see people running the agitation Irongrass combo, I just can't see any time where this is this is effective. Like, you're basically saying, right, someone's downed and being carried to the hook. You're going to come off an objective to run alongside them and the killer, probably take a hit all the way up to the hook to hope someone will wiggle off. And if they don't wiggle off, then you're right next to the killer in an injured state. It doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's probably a good sounding perk on paper. Like a lot of the stuff that comes out, I think probably it sounded really cool on paper, but in practice and in logistically in a trial, it just isn't very good. I'll probably just leave it at that. The next perk is the Doctor Teachable Overcharge. So when you kick a generator, the next survivor to interact with that generator is faced with a tremendously difficult skill check. Failing the skill check gives you X amount of progression loss. So basically, you'll have seen this if you've been playing against a killer and they kick your gen, and then you only get the kind of white bar. like a brand new part skill check or a DS skill check. Basically, purpose is like so the killer, you as the killer, you'll know that someone's went back to that gen, or if they miss that skill check, then it gets them extra regression against it. It's a pretty good perk. It's quite good for if you're pairing it with other gen regression perks. So you could pair it with Pop Goes the Weasel. You could pair it with Dragon's Grip. You could pair it with Eruption. You could pair it with try to think of other gen kicking perks. But yeah, like all those different perks you could pair them with to get value out of a combo there. So not only with Pop would you give them 25% regression, you'd also give them a really hard skill check and additional regression. With Dragon's Grip, they could go back and touch the generator that they've been working on after you've kicked it. Then not only are they faced with an incredibly difficult skill check, but then they're also exposed for I think a minute. You know what I mean? So it's an incredibly, it works well. It's got good synergy with a lot of different perks, and definitely one of the ones that you can have a lot of fun with as killer. It's probably not the best, but like again, especially if you're going to have like if you're going to be specifically putting your regression around a perk that makes you need to kick gens, this is a good one to add on the top of it because it'll get you. It kind of doubles kind of as an extra tracking perk because you get the notification from the missed skill check if they don't hit the tremendously hard skill check. So it's got a couple of different layers to this one, and it synergizes well with a multitude of perks. So I would say this one is probably one of the better ones we've got this week. And the final perk on the shrine this week is the Hellbilly Teachable Lightborn. So basically, instead of reading this whole thing, is you cannot be blinded. Basically, flashbangs, blast mines, flashlights, firecrackers, anything like that, you can't be blinded. Like, you physically can't be blinded. So all the altruistic survivors who run out from behind bushes when you pick someone up and try and get the flashlight save, all the people who waste time by trying to blind you at a pallet, all the memers like myself who will go for flashbang and blast mine plays, all kind of worthless. Also, the survivor attempting the blind will have their aura revealed to you for 6 seconds. Most times they're going to be within your line of sight anyway, because they're trying to blind you. But it's a good wee one if they know it's not working and they run away. So this is quite good as a perk to have in your back pocket. Like, I wouldn't run this as a standard as a killer, and it's just my opinion. I don't think anyone would, but it's good to have in your back pocket. Like, especially if you load into a lobby and you see 4 flashlights, you're like, right, okay, this is going to be a super altruistic team who are constantly going to go in for blinds. I'll maybe throw my 4th perk on as Lightborn just to kind of mess them up a bit. And then until they can figure out that you've got Lightborn on, you can take advantage and get some extra hits and stuff in like that. So it's a good perk to have in your back pocket more than anything. I wouldn't say you'd be running it on every single build because the chances of someone going for a blind every single game are pretty minimal. But if you can see the right lobby, or you can see a lobby with a lot of Leons and Jills or whatever, and you're kind of concerned about flashbangs or flashlights or anything like that, you can just fire it on. Gives you an extra wee bit of layer protection. It means you can get the hooks in and you're not going to be constantly getting blinded and having to drop the survivors and start chases all over again. So yeah, it's a really handy perk, and I found I used to run it quite a lot when I was learning, because I used to find flashlight slaves really tilting. So once I got this unlocked on Hellbilly, I basically just ran it all, like every time I saw a flashlight in the lobby, just to kind of stop myself from getting tilted. So there's always that as well. So that's it, guys. That's us for the day. That's the shrine, our first shrine back after the event. It is pretty rough in terms of compared to, like, you see some of the other days. Like, one of the days had Ruin and Undying on the same shrine. You've had Barbecue, you've had Dead Hard, you've had Decisive Strike, had all that stuff. And this is the first one that's kind of back to the normal format, back to the more expensive pricings, and back for a week. And they are not up to that caliber of the other ones. But as always, I'll do the recommendation of 1 survivor, 1 killer. I think if you're going to get anything, I would say get Overcharge. It's probably the best one on the shrine this week, which isn't saying an awful lot. And to be fair, I just wouldn't get either of the survivor ones. I would just save your shards and wait till next week. If you're desperate to get 2, I'd probably just get Lightborn and Overcharge. I wouldn't waste your money on Ace in the Hole and Breakout. Like, this is the worst of Ace's 3 perks, and Ace's 3 perks are pretty trash. So that would be my input on that one, and I don't particularly like any of UE's perks except from Lucky Break since they buffed it. But Breakout and Any Means Necessary to me are just not worth the time. So that's it, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in for the first round video back. Please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. I've got a few new videos coming out, a few new kind of types of videos coming out this week, so keep an eye out for that. Come view me over on Twitch a couple of times a week at twitch.tv/LiboATM. And until I see you guys next time, peace.